As we return to our Terra Santa news at the beginning of September, we would like to recall the main celebrations of the month of August in the Holy Land: the Transfiguration of Jesus on Mount Tabor, the Solemnity of St. Clare in Jerusalem, Mary, sign of consolidation and sure hope, as the theme of the celebration of the Assumption of Mary into heaven. On the 24th of August, the Pontifical Mission signed agreements with 3 Christian institutions to support them in supplying electricity generated by solar panels, with funding from the German Misereor Foundation. Bethlehem University is a strategic partner of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem. On the 27th of August, 2 agreements were signed between them to continue on the path of cooperation and support young Christians in the West Bank. Through theatre, music and dance, the young people of the St. James Vicariate awaken hope with the musical Ruth. From the 2nd to the 9th of August, the 30th edition of the Franciscan March to the Holy Land took place, entitled "Don't Be Afraid to Go Deep." As we return to our Terra Santa news at the beginning of September, we would like to recall the main celebrations of August in the Holy Land. The Transfiguration of Jesus at Mount Tabor on the 6th of August. Mount Tabor, clearly distinguished from the other hills of Galilee, rises 450 meters above the plain, i.e. 588 meters above sea level. On the summit of the mountain is the Basilica of the Transfiguration. In the history of Israel, Tabor was of great religious and political importance. In times of war, this place was used as a refuge for the inhabitants of the entire area. For Christian pilgrims, however, it was the Transfiguration of Jesus that made Tabor a special place. Here, the friars of the Custody of the Holy Land, together with local religious and Christians, celebrated the Feast of the Transfiguration on the 6th of August. The celebration was presided over by Brother Dobromir Yatzal, Vicar of the Custody of the Holy Land. Present at the Eucharistic celebration were Brother Ricardo Bustos, Guardian of Tabor, Brother Bruno Variano, Guardian of Nazareth, and the Brothers of the Galilee region. This is where, according to tradition, the narrative of the Gospel according to St. Mark takes place, describing the wonderful event. At that time, Jesus took Peter, James and John with him and led them up a high mountain, alone. He was transfigured before them, and his clothes became resplendent, crystal white. And Elijah appeared to them with Moses, and they talked with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 huts, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." For he did not know what to say, for they were afraid. And a cloud came and covered them with its shadow, and out of the cloud came a voice, "This is my Son, the Beloved. Listen to him." After Mass, the procession to the Byzantine-style chapel on the edge of the site recalls the words of Jesus. As they came down from the mountain, he commanded them not to tell anyone what they had seen until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead. Beauty will save the world. On the 11th of August, when the whole church celebrates St. Clare, in Jerusalem in the Monastery of the Poor Clares, the Mass was presided over by Monsignor Giacinto Marcuzzo, Bishop of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, with the Franciscans and representatives of the different religious communities. At present, the community of the Jerusalem Monastery consists of 8 nuns. It has an international face, since sisters from Italy, France, Rwanda and Argentina live here. The richness derived from the different nationalities is also expressed in prayer. Beauty will save the world. Beauty will save the world was the theme of Bishop Marcuzzo's homily.
Ogni volta che celebriamo la festa di un grande santo,
every time we celebrate the feast of a great saint, of a great champion of holiness, we are reminded of Dostoevsky's famous expression, beauty will save the world. What beauty? Not only physical beauty, or the beauty of a landscape, of a person, of a thought, of a thesis, but above all the beauty of holiness and charity. The beauty that leads, as St. Augustine says, to God, that leads to transcendence and the absolute. And it is this that will save the world and man.
Che porta a Dio, porta alla trascendenza e all'assoluto, ed è questo che salverà il mondo e l'uomo.
Vorrei condividere la gioia di questa grande festa.
I would like to share the joy of this great feast, of celebrating St. Clare of Assisi every year, and of bringing this beauty that will save the world, as the bishop recalled in his homily. The beauty that will save the world has the face of St. Clare, the beauty of this woman who gave herself totally to the Lord, a beauty that never grows old. It is always young, it is always true, because she gave her life to the Lord, completely to the Lord.
Perché ha dato la sua vita al Signore, totalmente al Signore.
In Jerusalem, as in the whole of the Holy Land, the days in which the Assumption of the Virgin Mary into heaven was celebrated were rich in liturgies. On Sunday the 15th of August, Brother Francesco Patton, Custos of the Holy Land, celebrated the Pontifical Mass together with the local community of Friars Minor and other religious present in Jerusalem. When we contemplate the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary into heaven in body and soul, we contemplate the fact that Mary already participates fully and personally in the new creation initiated by her Son Jesus with his resurrection, the Custos said during his homily. And this, I believe, is an extraordinary message, especially at a time like ours, which is afflicted and burdened by so much anguish due above all to the fear of death, the fear of disease, the fear of contagions. Here, the Easter of the summer is the one that reminds us that Jesus' Easter victory is valid for him. It is shared by his mother Mary and will be given to us too. At the end of the prayer of Vespers, the Franciscans made a pilgrimage to the Church of the Tomb of Mary. Here they were greeted by representatives of the Greek Orthodox and Armenian communities as required by the status quo norms which regulate the life of the most important holy places. Once again, thanks to the prayers of the friars of the custody and of many faithful, Mary's prophecy has been fulfilled in Jerusalem. All nations will call me blessed. Tradition has placed the tomb of Mary here since about the year 450. It was Pope Pius XII on the 1st of November 1950 who solemnly defined and proclaimed the dogma of faith of the Assumption of Mary into heaven. On the 24th of August, the Pontifical Mission signed agreements with 3 Christian institutions to support them in supplying electricity generated by solar panels, with funding from the German Misereor Foundation. Today we are signing 3 agreements. With Bethlehem University, where we will cover almost a third of its electricity needs, depending on the space available on the roofs. With the Frères School in Beit Hanina, where we will cover 50% of its needs while the school was able to obtain the missing 50% from other sources. Finally, with the Terra Santa school Helen Keller in Beit Hanina, where we will cover all its electricity supply needs. The regional director of the Pontifical Mission in Jerusalem, Joseph Hazboun, noted that most of the Christian institutions in the Holy Land are affiliated with various aid-dependent congregations. The sums they will save annually through this project run into tens of thousands of dollars that will help them, for example, to develop the technological devices they possess, pay their salaries, or cover the costs they have difficulty with.
What this project is doing, that the Pontifical Mission is involved in, is helping us in a significant way to support that operational budget. So we're incredibly grateful to them for that.
This collaboration between us and the Pontifical Mission has been going on for a long time. It always supports us in various projects. This is not the first one. I extend my thanks to the Pontifical Mission. May the Lord increase His blessings and grace so that they may continue to promote all these projects in the Holy Land. We thank the Pontifical Mission for this wonderful achievement through which we cover our electricity expenses and we protect nature and the environment. We will also be saving on our monthly expenses, which have become a burden for institutions like ours. We estimate that the monthly savings will amount to 10,000 shekels. This is a very important figure because there are many needs in the laboratories and classrooms that require the installation of air conditioners and electricity expenses. According to the latest study we conducted with Dar al-Kalima College, the Palestinian Christian community, which represents 1.5% of Palestinians, provides services to 33% of the Palestinian community through its institutions, but the amount of funding it receives does not reach this percentage. We think it is necessary to focus particular attention on these institutions to ensure that they can continue to provide their services. That is why we have decided to support them. Bethlehem University is a strategic partner of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem in terms of training and university education in general, being the only Catholic university in the Holy Land. On the 27th of August, 2 agreements were signed between them to follow this path. Two agreements were signed today between the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem and Bethlehem University. The first one involves the implementation of a project to increase the skills of young people and create job opportunities in the parishes of the Latin Patriarchate and in some parishes of the Custody of the Holy Land in the West Bank. The second agreement is in partnership with the Faculty of Religious Studies of Bethlehem University to qualify Christian religion teachers in Christian schools in the West Bank. The two agreements were signed at Bethlehem University. These two projects are funded by the Pius XII Foundation and the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre. Education is free of charge, and this first project, entitled AFAC Horizons, aims to provide its participants with skills training in economics through the Institute of Community Partnerships, ICP, at the end of which they can obtain loans or grants to establish small projects for their livelihoods. Of course, this has come in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic and the very high unemployment rate, which has affected our Palestinian communities and, of course, the various Christian communities in the West Bank. Not to mention the drama of Christian immigration from the Holy Land. The training project for teachers of Christian religion in collaboration with the Office of Catechesis qualifies participants to obtain a certificate from Bethlehem University. When the teacher is religiously qualified to teach religious education, this is certainly reflected in the students who need not only to hear God's word, but also to live it. Creating job opportunities to earn a living and new prospects for life at the same time. This is what the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem seeks to achieve in cooperation with Bethlehem University.
This project is something we're really interested in because as we move towards our 50th anniversary in 2023, we look back to the reason why Bethlehem University was started, which was to serve the Palestinian people through education.
On Monday the 30th of August, the young people of the St. James Vicariate shone on the stage of the Notre Dame Center in Jerusalem. Through theatre, music and dance, they staged a musical in English and Hebrew, telling the story of the biblical woman Ruth, the Moabite, who leaves her homeland to accompany her mother-in-law Naomi to Bethlehem.
Orpah, you don't get it. This family is different. Their God is different.
The Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, His Beatitude Monsignor Pier Battista Pizzaballa, was also present at this musical evening, together with various religious from the Jewish pastoral and the Christian community, and above all, family members and friends of the young people.
What you are about to see is a story of Ruth, who is a migrant, who comes to a country where she is a stranger, and yet she finds her way because of the help of the local people and because God takes care of her. This is the message that we wanted with these kids. We wanted to send to the world, to say God is faithful and His promises are forever. He will always take care of us, but also help of the people can be the decisive factor to find your place in the society that is strange.
The St. James Vicariate cares for all Hebrew-speaking Catholics in different cities in Israel.
Our pastoral work with them is not easy, but it's so much joy. I am so happy and I thank God and all the people who helped us that I had the possibility to be a part of this project.
The Franciscan March is the most beautiful and wonderful experience I have had in my life. The March is life. It is my second home. I wait all year to live this week. The best times of my life have been in the Franciscan March.
Crossing the road between valleys, hills and mountains, the noise, the artificiality of life and the masks are dissipated, and the voice of God became clear in the ears of the young participants of the Franciscan March in its 30th edition in the Holy Land. Under the title, Don't Be Afraid to Go Deep, the 30th Franciscan March began on the 2nd of August from the village of Orfesh on the Lebanese border via Fasuta, then Ma'aliyah through Nazareth to Mount Tabor. About 90 people took part in this year's march, coming from different towns and villages of the Holy Land, with a thirst for the word of the Lord and a passion for a new adventure in search of self.
عم نحاول إنه نساعد الشاب والصبية على مثال القديس.
We try to help young people like St. Peter to step back a little from the earth, to break down the barriers that have been put in place by society or by themselves or as a result of certain circumstances, and to begin the process of truly seeking the meaning of life by discovering the presence of God in their lives, and the discovery of the need to live in the presence of God continuously, not only within the walls of the church, the halls and meeting rooms, but in every moment of our lives.
داخل جدران الكنيسة أو داخل جدران قاعاتنا أو داخل جدران اجتماعاتنا، ولكن لا، داخل كل لحظة من حياتنا.
This year's march was a means of searching for oneself in the midst of life's difficulties. A real search in the depths to discover the meaning of life and coexistence between man and neighbour. Between the point of departure and the point of arrival, says Brother Raphael, there is an effort that we have to make, a burden that we have to carry, and a cross that we have to bear. He invited the young people to listen to the voice of God whispering in their hearts, and to always go forward and ascend upwards.
This is my second march, and I would like to participate every year because I really feel at ease here, especially in this church. We have spiritual experiences every step of the way, and this place is an escape for me from the outside world to go deeper into myself. I feel at ease and I know that Jesus is by my side. This made me cry as much as I felt.
إنه هو بوجودي، بحس إنه هو حدي، فلهيك كنت أبكي قد ما الشعور عظيم داخلي. المسيرة الحقيقية بالنسبة لي هي مسألة حياة، يعني هي بتستمر.
The real march for me is a matter of life. It lasts all the time and not just 1 week. I always participate in the march as it is an integral part of my life. It has taught me many things, such as deepening my understanding of God's providence. I have increased my gratitude and thanks for everything that happens in my life, even the pain, which I enjoy and glorify God's name in it, and be grateful for all the difficulties that occur in my life.
حتى أشكر على هاي الشغلات والصعوبات اللي بتصير.
In the church we have always problems, lot of challenges, but it's always important and beautiful to meet with the youth. In this case with the Franciscan March, full of enthusiasm, effervescent, that bring new spirit in the church. Also a lot of demands, but also a lot of commitment. What we need for our church is commitment for the sake of the church or for the sake of our community. Our community, once again, needs new spirit that these youth are bringing with them.
The march ends, but the challenge of the Franciscan order continues to follow the young Christians in their spiritual, social and psychological life, to fulfill in them the title of the march. Deep within yourselves, you discover God and He sets you free, and you are called to bring others to Him.
معقول تصير